Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Not just any Friday. Happy NBA Friday. Brought to you by Riverfront U, part of the Riverfront Podcast Network. We are, of course, brought to you by our good friends over at SEATGEEK. SeatGeek is the #1 site for buying tickets on the secondary market, and they take out the confusion of purchases. Very simple. Green means go, red means stop, and don't buy there. It's not a good deal. So if you're looking to get some NBA tickets this year, you're looking to go check out the Bengals at Paycor, maybe get some college sports tickets, SeatGeek's your spot. Use the code Riverfront, all one word, for $20 off your first purchase. Tell them that we sent you. Of course, we're also sent to you by our lovely friends over at Patreon, where you can also become a member of patreon.com/RiverfrontCincy and be part of the family. But this is NBA Friday. This is for Sean and I, we just could be kept away from talking about the National Basketball Association. So this is going to be like our Friday show, just get it all out, everything. So we're excited. I've got Sean here. We got Parker Fields in the building. What's up, gents?
What's going on, Tim?
Oh, this is fun. Parker, it's been too long since we've worked on something together.
Yeah, seriously, it's been a few months.
Yeah. So.
And I don't think we've talked NBA in what, 3-4 months?
Probably since the finals.
Yeah, because we didn't do anything for free agency or the draft this year because we left the old network. So this is a new change. If you're coming here listening, expect you're going to hear what we used to hear on 48 minutes. The goal is to not do that. Simply put, something new, something fresh, something fun. So our first segment is always going to be we're going to talk current stuff. Second segment will be a flashback where we'll talk about some, like whether it's a player, an era of basketball, something to that matter. And the final segment will be called our starting five, which will be a 5-round fantasy draft, snake rules, that we all draft 5 items. So with that being said, we're going to go and get started with segment 1, our current information here. And I really did want to get into a deep dive about Team USA, but I feel like everyone under the sun's done it. So let's talk about the thing no one's talking about right now, and that's Chet versus Wemby.
There they are, man.
Not a single person talked about it this week. Not a single person.
I know, and like I don't know what it is, but I'm like super excited about Chet Holmgren. Like
that was sarcasm, Sean.
Really?
You were overseas. It was all that anyone talked about this week.
Yeah, it was all anybody talked about.
I mean, look, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like last week, I ended up getting bits and pieces of that, and I was kind of like, "Is this a thing?" And then it ended up being a thing, and I'm really happy about it. Are you guys happy about it?
Stoked.
Like, I think, and I think I talked to you about this a couple weeks ago, but like, I think Wemby's obviously the man, and he's probably going to end up getting Rookie of the Year and everything, but I think Chet's going to give him a run for his money. I think we all forgot about him.
I think this is going to be one of the best Rookie of the Year competitions in a long time. Those two, Scoot Henderson's going to have the ball in his hands a lot for Portland, so he's going to put up numbers. I think Brandon Miller's going to play really well off LaMelo. I think those 4 are going to make it fun.
Scoot kind of scares me a little bit in terms of his productions because I feel like Anthony Simons might average like 25 this year for real, if I'm going to be honest. I think he might kind of take the spotlight a little bit away from Scoot in his rookie season because he's going to have to share the ball with Simons, obviously.
Yeah, and I'm sure I believe Portland will trade Malcolm Brogdon, so I think he's going to have one of those.
I would say Brogdon definitely will get traded. I mean, I think Chet could definitely have that like Scotty Barnes argument too, because he's going to be on a pretty good team too.
Yeah.
So his stats might not be as good as Wemby and stuff, but he also might be leading to more wins and stuff because he's going to be on a really good team playing heavy minutes for supposed to be a playoff team at least.
I'm really high on the Thunder. I was talking about this before we kind of went off with our last show. The young talent, I think, Shea's a top 10 player in the league. Josh Giddey continues to get better. They have Jalen Williams, who was second Rookie of the Year voting last year to Paolo Banchero. They have the other Jalen Williams, which is the funniest thing of all time. You get Chet. You bring in some good veterans. Victor Oladipo's on this team now. Again, I really, really, really like this Thunder team, and I finally remembered the coach's name is Mark Daigneault.
Mark Dagnall, yeah, that is a coach that I never remember like who he is. He doesn't talk.
Never.
I feel like
Never.
you never hear a quote from him. Nothing.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the matchup because we've always had this thing, right? Where it's like these two stars come up and around the same time. We compare them to each other. This feels like the center version of LeBron versus Durant, except for they're both in the same conference where like LeBron and Durant were battling in the finals, which obviously now they're in the same division. But yeah, I think this is going to be really fun because these guys are going to play each other multiple times a year. They're coming at the same time. Obviously, Chet being the guy who was the man in college at Gonzaga, Wemby being the guy who just took over the world overseas. This is going to be neat. And I think the first glimpses we got of it, and I understand it's a preseason game, so it wasn't necessarily max effort, but both teams played the guys they're going to play. Both teams played their rotations, and both guys balled out. Like there's that, like Jalen Williams drives right by Wemby, and he just gets that block, and it's like, his 12-foot Inspector Gadget arm.
I love that guy. I love that guy. He's so excited. Fun.
Yeah, and then he has that steal at the top of the key where he like starts the fast break, and then Chet just hitting deep shots. Like it was, I think if you're a basketball fan, it's everything you could have wanted.
I was kind of shocked at how much both of them really did play on the perimeter in this match.
Yeah,
like they both were really out there on the perimeter, creating plays for them or a teammate, like out there dribbling and stuff at 7-3 and 7-5 or whatever. Like seriously, they were really out there like on the perimeter making plays and stuff, which did shock me. Like I knew they both had those capabilities, obviously, but I was kind of shocked in the NBA they really were doing that too.
That, and then the fact that there was a little, when Wembanyama gets that dunk and he flexes, and then Chet gets a dunk and it flexes, and their arms are both like,
Yeah, they both have never curled in their life.
Yeah, right. No biceps, there's no biceps club.
Yeah, no triceps, no biceps, either of them.
Yeah.
You know what I loved about this game? Like it was super high scoring. It was super competitive. It was a 1-point win. This is the kind of preseason game that you want to see that's going to build hype for the season.
Yes.
And, Chet being out last year, which was a complete and utter disappointment. Personally, and we talked about this as well, I'm hoping he pans out because I got a bunch of rookie cards just hanging out in a box right now.
I fully believe in Chet Holmgren.
I placed on DraftKings.
We're on him.
I placed Chet win Rookie of the Year on DraftKings.
Parker, I threw
like $50 on it because I was like,
I love it.
Yeah, I like the odds too. He had like the 4th best odds, I think. So I was liking it,
which is crazy.
Yeah,
because of those 4, he's gonna have the best team.
Yeah, easily gonna have the best team. Brandon, like the Hornets could like somehow be okay in the East, but like they're not going to be good, but they could win, 35 games or so maybe if LaMelo stays healthy.
Actually,
because they're weirdly like talented.
Yeah,
like,
they are.
Look at their roster, like you got a lot of weirdly good players, but it doesn't really make sense. But like they have good players, but it's just really dysfunctional. And then with the Miles Bridges stuff again, so
there's that. There's Kai Jones feeling like I requested a trade.
James Bouknight got arrested this offseason. Like it's literally like
I forgot about that.
It's like the whole team. But like honestly, if LaMelo
Michael Jordan sold the team.
Yeah, Michael Jordan sold the team.
Mr. Beast is a sponsor.
Yeah, Mr. Beast is the sponsor of them. I forgot about that too. That's crazy. He'll probably pay their luxury tax.
Yeah. What do you mean they don't pay the luxury tax?
Yeah, no, I'm saying if they go for it, they'd be like, Mr. Beast, pay this for us.
They won't. They won't, though.
I do kind of sneakily think that their over-under is kind of low just because all the reasons you listed.
I just like they have Gordon Hayward and Rozier and LaMelo, and if Miles Bridges does play, like that's not a
Mark
bad
Williams
team.
Is like low-key nice.
Brandon Miller, like just mentioned him. I think they have a couple dudes on their bench too. I'm trying to think. Like a couple decent players on their bench too. I'm blanking.
I just played against them in 2K, so I should remember this.
I feel like they have a couple decent players on their bench. I'm not positive, but I don't know. They just
do we count Nick Richards as decent?
Yeah, he's decent, I'd say. Like he's a decent little backup big. They got like weirdly good defenders. They got Ntilikina, who's like sneaky, good defender, which would help them. I don't know. It's just like if you look at every team in the league, you can kind of talk yourself into thinking that they're going to win 35 games. Like every team has a few guys where you're like, in 2014, this team would have won 45 games. Like seriously. Yeah. Like if you look at a lot of rosters, it's like that.
Yeah, that's why like if you look at the West, like the two teams we're talking about here, OKC and San Antonio, they're going to be better, and it might always not really result into a ton of wins. So last year, San Antonio won 22 games. This year, their over-unders 20.5 strictly because they have Wembanyama. I don't know if they'll hit that. Hindsight, yes, but that's a lot of wins to improve on. And obviously they got the guy to do it. But it's also really difficult in that conference. So even, the Lakers and the Clippers, they might go under and they might still be really, really good if they're over-unders and wins just because of how stacked the West is this year.
Yeah, I think there's legitimately like 7 or 8 teams that I could you could tell me they won the title and I wouldn't say you're lying. Like I would believe it if you told me from the future that they won the title. I would believe it with like 8 teams this year. And I don't think I could ever say that.
Yeah. I mean, the top 3 obviously being top 4, Denver, Denver, Milwaukee, Boston, Phoenix. And then that tier 2 group is also
You're
really
crazy.
Really good.
I think the Lakers are the most deep team, honestly. Like I think
put money on the win.
I think they're so deep that I think they're in that tier with them. So especially if they are healthy, which is always the if, but if they are, like, I mean, I don't know. Anthony Davis says he's playing 82 games.
I don't believe that.
He's also going to take 6 threes a game.
I'll say this: if he does play 70 games, he'll win the MVP this year.
If he plays 70
games, plays 70 games, he'll be the NBA MVP because of what he does on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I put money on them to win the title. I really believe that they can. It's just I don't know if they're better than those teams in front of them. Granted, this Phoenix thing could be awful because how much money they're paying those 3 guys,
and their bench is just like.
And they got worse at center. And they got worse at center.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like I like Yuta Watanabe, but like I don't know if he's like a rotational championship team. Like I don't know about that. And like Eric Gordon, if you watch the playoffs last year, looked absolutely awful in that playoff series, and he might be, starting to get a little bit older, start slowing down. Like it's very much giving me a more talented 21-22 Lakers vibe. Like they're just a little bit more talented than that team, but they're giving me that vibe. I don't know, because there's just so many question marks outside of those 3.
Yeah, the Clippers on paper look really good, but we know what the story is with them every year.
I don't trust the Clippers. I'm just
Who would?
Sorry.
Like, who would ever trust the Clippers?
I'm just not like, and Paul George is the smoothest basketball player I've ever seen. Like, dude has ridiculous game, but like he can't stay on the floor. And we know Kawhi can't stay on the floor, so it's just like
Russell Westbrook is going to lead that team in minutes played this year. Just so we're clear,
100%.
Guaranteed.
That's the one thing about him. He's going to be out there every night, and he's going to play his ass off every night. But
he played really well for them after they picked him up in a buyout last year. He was really good.
People are going to forget he had that playoff series competitive by himself, damn near. Like seriously,
absolutely.
Him and Norman Powell. He was dropping 30 points every game. Westbrook, like he showed he still has stuff left in the tank if you just give him the ball. Like he showed if he was still in like a Wizard situation, he could still put up 25, 11, and 11. Like he seriously, which is just crazy that he can do that. And if you give him the ball,
how many years removed is it from him having the MVP? 5?
6?
16,
6
years?
17.
Yeah, 17.
Okay.
So maybe 7 seasons then, I'd guess.
The thing that always shocks, it doesn't shock me anymore, but the chip on Westbrook's shoulder is so big at this point. I feel like he can turn it on when he really wants to, but he's got to be in a situation where he's happy and he's able to actually have the ball in his hands and do what he wants with it. Otherwise, it's,
If you look at the Pacific Division, I think the Clippers are the worst team. And if you told me they're going to win 44 games, I'd believe you.
Who you got in there? Kings, Suns, Lakers.
Kings, Suns, Lakers, Warriors. Clippers.
I'd say the Warriors are the worst team, honestly, over the Clippers. Maybe not regular season record, but like if I just needed to win a series right now, I'm taking the Clippers easy over the Warriors. I don't think they're very good.
No, but their basketball IQ is going to be really, really impressive in stretches.
I'm putting them above the Clippers.
I
can't bet against
I'm
them.
gonna be honest. I don't trust Klay Thompson at this point much. Like I remember last year I called him out and was like, he's horrible right now. They dropped like 50 like the next day. Like I don't know. He just seems like his body is just like, I know he was healthy last year and stuff, but it's just like he's not a good defender anymore. That was his thing outside of shooting, and pretty much now he's just a glorified Kyle Korver. JJ Redick is pretty much what he is at this point. And it's just like that's what I'm saying. He's a glorified version. Like
I think at this point those guys were better shooters. Actually,
that's what he shoots a lot of them, but like you're not telling me if JJ Redick shot the ball 20 times a game, he couldn't. Like he had some years where he averaged 18 for Philly. Like seriously, like.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think he's that good anymore, and that's the thing that I think people are forgetting is Klay isn't Klay anymore. He's still solid, but I don't think he's even a top 50 or 60 player anymore. I'm gonna be honest.
I know we haven't had a pod in a long time, but we've barely discussed this. But how do you guys feel Chris Paul's gonna fit in with the Warriors?
Really well.
You think he's gonna fit in
I think he's gonna fit in really well too. I'm gonna be honest.
He looks really excited to be on a good team.
He looked really good in that. And no, again, we're talking about preseason. I'm well aware as I'm having this conversation.
He did look really good.
But him and Steph looked really good together.
Yep.
Looked really good. Perimeter defense was solid. I thought the way that they moved together on the offense, like they ran their typical motion offense, but the way both guys were able to move when the other had the ball was awesome. I think if you're Golden State, the conversation obviously comes to when Draymond comes back. Do you move Chris Paul to the bench? And likely, but Chris Paul might make a case that you don't need to put him on the bench. Maybe Draymond comes off the bench.
Well, I don't even
agree.
think that. I don't think Draymond should come off the bench. I think they could all start. My thing is just, I think Curry can play the two easily. Like I think he can easily play the two.
Yeah.
Is what
they have 6 starters.
Yeah, like I think he can very easily play the two.
He might prefer it, honestly.
You think so if they did start Chris Paul, would they go Looney or Draymond and just run small ball?
I don't know how long you can run small ball 5.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a postseason move. That might be the starting lineup in the postseason.
I mean, think about look alone in their division.
I have a hard time seeing Draymond coming off the bench. I don't
do
know
too.
if I can. I just can't see him putting Draymond on the bench. Because at this point, Draymond's a lot better than Klay. Like a lot better of a player, in my opinion, than Klay is at this point. But obviously, I mean, I don't know. I think Klay should go to the bench over Draymond, if I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you, especially if Curry's gonna play the two.
Yeah, it is gonna be fascinating. So real quick before we move on to segment 2, the whole idea here was talking Wemby and Chet and everything there. We know the Spurs aren't going to make the playoffs, but I do think they're going to be a really fun team to watch, not just with Wembanyama, but I really like Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, who was like only 24.
Yeah.
Only? Like I feel like he's
24.
in the league, forever.
He has.
Yeah. I like their young talent. I think they're going to continue to put together. I like that Popovich signed an extension to help these guys become pros, and they're obviously going to get vets over time, but this year it's just like if they win 30 games, it's a hell of a year. I don't know if they will. On the other end, with Chet healthy, with Josh Giddey, with Shea, with the roster they have, the vets they have, is OKC a playoff team? I think yes.
I think yes. I mean, they were 1 game away from it last year. I think they definitely take the step forward. I think Shea's numbers might be a little worse. Like not just like he might score like 27 this year. I don't know if he'll drop 30.
Terrible.
Again. That's what I'm saying.
What a bum.
I think his numbers might just drop a little bit though, because like Chet's in the picture now, and I think they'll just spread it around a little bit more. But honestly, if you watched a lot of their games last season, because I was watching a lot, they were sitting in the 6th seed for a while.
They were.
And honestly, Josh Giddey was like super inconsistent down the stretch, and that kind of hurt them. He had a few games where he was getting benched in the 4th quarter at the end of the season, which I don't really agree with, honestly. I get you're in the playoff push, but like you need him out there to develop him and stuff. But like, I don't know. They kind of sold down the stretch because they had a real chance to not even be in that play-in position. They had a real chance to just be in the playoffs at certain points.
Yeah, I'm pulling up the roster real quick just so I can kind of go over this, just so we have the general idea. So the guys I just mentioned, I forgot to mention Lou Dort, who's also a very, very good defender.
Very good.
Ousmane Dieng, who was had a pretty nice stretches last year. Jeremiah Robinson Earl, a kid I really like a lot. Cason Wallace, Parker, as you know really well. I think he's gonna be a really good bench guard for them.
Yeah.
And then I think this is the year we quit talking about Poku. I think this is finally the year that we just we let it go.
Yeah, he's long and athletic, but he's not that great.
What do you think about Olivier Sarr playing for this team?
That's an interesting pickup. He was a part of the forgetful 2020 COVID Kentucky squad that I try and forget. But he was the best player on that team. So he's a nice little big man. He's got some skill. He's definitely a very skilled big, but he's not the most fleet of foot big man for sure. He's not the most athletic big man. He's kind of an old school player, honestly.
Final bit, Sean. Did they make it?
I'm gonna say yeah. I think that they're a surprisingly deep team. They're young. SGA is a phenomenal player. I think he's gonna drag them to the postseason this year, and I'm really excited to see what he can do with Chet. I think this could be a really, really exciting time for OKC basketball again. So
yeah, I saw someone, I can't remember who. I wish I could so I can give them credit. They did their mock MVP ballot for the end of the year. Their forecast. 1 was Tatum and 2 was Shea. And I was like, I could actually see that. See that.
That's fair.
Yeah. Because I think Boston's going to be incredible, which breaks my heart, but they're going to be so good.
I feel like nobody's even talking about the fact that they got Drew Holiday. I feel like that has been swept.
I think
they're acting like this guy is the best perimeter defender in the league, and he's a top offensive player too. He's only getting, I don't know.
And they're working him.
He's
in
getting better as he gets older too.
Yeah, he's playing 6th man for the Celtics right now off the bench.
Yeah,
which is crazy if they actually bring him off the bench. That's wild to me. He's too good to come off the bench.
I agree.
Would you guys say that he is more important to the Celtics this year than Porzingis?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay, because I've been watching a few. I've been seeing a couple people kind of overreact over Porzingis' couple of games, and I'm just like, I'm not buying his stock anymore. He's one of those guys. He's not going to play the whole season. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
He did have his best year of his career last year. I will say that for him.
Yeah,
he
did.
Much better.
But
I'm just curious to see what he does on a good team. I don't know how the hell he's going to play as a third option. Who knows? I'm just curious to see. Or is Drew the third option? Or is Porzingis?
I would say so. I would say Drew is, but also, to further on Shad's point, when they play Philly, he's not guarding Embiid. Horford is. When they play Milwaukee, Horford's guarding Giannis. When they play the Lakers, Horford's guarding LeBron or AD. Ooh, that's gonna be tough for them. But yeah, I think Porzingis will play well there. I think he'll mesh really well with those guys. But Drew's Drew Holiday for a reason. I mean, this guy was just in the NBA Finals 2 years ago and had the greatest alley-oop play in NBA history. So,
Tim, you did make a good point there, though. They don't match up that well with big teams. Honestly, they don't match up great with them.
I don't think it's gonna matter.
But if you're relying on 38-year-old Al Horford to guard LeBron in a playoff series, if they've been in the finals, I don't know if that's the best. I don't know. Defensively, they're going to be awesome on the perimeter, but teams with size, they're definitely going to struggle a bit with. But yeah, I agree with you. I think they're going to be the best team in the regular season. I think they're going to win 65 games this year, 60 games.
That's
if any team does it, because obviously it's rare for teams to win that many, but if any team does have a 65 win season or so, it would be them, I'd say.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's go to seg 2, folks. This is going to be our flashback segment where we kind of talk about moments in NBA time, whether it's a player, whether it's a season, whatever it might be. We're just going to talk about that. We're going to have different ones each week. I thought this one was fun because it's now been 3 years since the bubble. Wednesday of this week was the 3-year anniversary of the Lakers winning that title,
Ooh.
which totally threw off my complete timeline. I'll never forget we get to the offseason in 2021, and I was like, I need a break. I need a break. But I kind of want to go back and just remember where we were. Obviously, we all know where we were. It's a COVID year. It's an election year, which is a different story. But just kind of the weirdest time in the world. And we're all just looking for something to watch. The Last Dance was just ending because it was on every Sunday there for about 5 weeks. And then all of a sudden we start getting these conversations pop up about they are going to do a bubble. And it's like, well, where are they going to do it? And it's like Wide World of Sports, where it's like, if you played AAU, you played at some point at Wide World of Sports.
There when I was a kid.
Yeah. And so it's kind of, and obviously I know a lot of people try to discredit who won the title, but let's be honest, we know why they're discrediting who won the title.
Yeah,
because
if it was
of who won the title.
If it was anybody else, they would say it's legit. But
yeah, but because it was the Lakers,
that title either way that year, in my opinion, they were the best
I agree.
team that year.
I agree, and I think you can make the case that when people are like, it was just terrible basketball, like I think you can make the case it was pretty damn good basketball. No distractions.
Yeah. Everybody who was there says it was the best basketball being played ever. Everybody says it was the most pure form of basketball because there was no nerves or nothing. They were just out there scrimmaging, hooping. Pretty much. They were just playing pickup.
Yeah. What do you guys remember about that time? Because I remember so well the first night it comes back, Lakers Clippers as that night, and if the Lakers win, they clinch the 1 seed. Yeah. And LeBron wasn't shooting very well. It was a big struggle. But all of a sudden, the fourth quarter, he just became the ultimate playmaker again.
Didn't he hit a game winner on Kawhi?
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that. That was because it was the first game of the bubble to clinch the 1 seed, right? And then they just didn't play the rest of the bubble, the regular season, I think. Like LeBron and AD, I think they didn't even play really the rest of the regular season because they already locked it up and everything. I remember 3 years ago, Anthony Davis was arguably the best player on the planet. Seriously.
He was.
He was the best. Like LeBron won finals MVP, but AD was probably the best player.
He had his Dwayne Wade run, his 2006 D Wade run.
I mean, it was either LeBron or AD. They were the top 2 players on the planet at the time. So, and Rondo was a top 10 player.
He was unbelievable.
Rondo was playoff Rondo.
Yeah,
playoff Rondo. He was
Dwight was really good in the bubble.
It was the Nuggets series. They started playing him like 30+ minutes. He was the Jokic stopper.
Yeah.
Dwight was like outplaying Jokic for stretches. It was weird.
I remember the Clippers blowing a big series lead, and they tried to be like, well, it was the bubble. It wasn't our fault. And it was like, okay, guys, like, do you remember Paul George shooting that 3 and hit the side of the board?
Yeah.
It wasn't even backboard. It was the side.
Yeah. Do you remember the Devin Booker / Dame just takeover? And there was bubble TJ Warren.
Yes.
There was a lot of random guys that just hooped during that. Like they just balled out every game. It was weird.
I remember so well the Heat Celtics series in game 1, how good that was. When Bam gets the block on Tatum to clinch game 1.
Oh man.
And that was young Tatum. That was like when he first became an all-star Tatum. And Jaylen Brown wasn't even an all-star yet. They were still figuring things out.
I think we had fun with it, right? I mean, it was like weird, obviously, but God, we were all desperate for it. Like, I think Sean and I joke about, like, I think we logged 300 hours of NBA 2K during that time.
It was obscene. It was obscene.
I mean, there was nothing else to do. I was still in high school at the time. So at the time, I literally had nothing to do. I would wake up, I'd go to a basketball training, and then after that, I'd play video games for 15 hours a day. And I'm not even like, what else was I supposed to do at the time? I didn't have a job. I just sitting at home. Like, seriously, there's nothing else to do besides play 2K.
Yeah, I think
prime my team too. That was a good year for my team.
That was my team year. I just remember like
the grindy year.
I had Galaxy Opal Anthony Davis. It took like 3,000 cards or whatever. It felt great.
Oh man, you got that one?
Yeah, I collected to him. I was a no life back then. I had nothing better to do. I was grinding that game.
Sean and I have always joked that we should like do like a vlog about like the 2K My Team Hall of Fame cards, because I would do out of position LeBron from that year in a heartbeat, the point guard.
Oh yeah, that card was nasty.
Yeah,
That
that would be like a first inductee for me.
did you guys play in 2K16?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you remember the diamond?
It's like the best 2K
do you
ever.
remember the diamond was it Throwback Thursday cards? Yeah. It was the diamond Jamal Crawford on the Warriors card. That card was disgusting. And everybody played him at point guard. And he was probably the best card in the game for a good like month. I remember that card. That card was crazy.
This is what COVID was like. This is what we were doing here. Like, I remember I got to the point where like when I wasn't playing 2K, I was going back and watching games while they were like from the months before. Like, I watched the Lakers Clippers game when the Lakers finally beat them. I watched that Lakers Celtics game that was like the weekend before the shutdown.
I listened to a lot of Bill Simmons or a lot of just whoever podcasts. Like, I listened to every NBA podcast that was released like during that.
I know.
Like,
it was the only thing going on at the time. And I feel like because of The Last Dance airing and everything as well, like I feel like that really kind of reignited some interest in basketball again. I don't know why, but people were starting to watch again, and they ended up they put on a show that year. A lot of people, like you guys said, have tried to discredit it. It is what it is. They're gonna say whatever, but it was entertaining, and we got some good basketball. And I want there to be a book that comes out about all the shenanigans that happened.
Has there not been one yet? I thought someone wrote one.
Is there one out?
I think what's his face? Did Jake Fisher write one from Yahoo?
I don't know. I've never heard of it. If I did,
I haven't heard of that either. So
I thought he did. Know. I'll have to look into it further, and I'll update on next week's episode. But yeah, there was a lot of that, and there's a lot of funny stuff to come from it. So I think one of my all-time favorite moments was when the Lakers were playing the Rockets, and Daniel House got kicked out of the bubble, and people, because he had a girl in his room, and apparently people like Rockets fans were so pissed off they tried to say LeBron ratted him out.
Yeah, they were trying to say that. I remember all the pictures of like opposing players like fishing together, like taking an ice bath together. Like I remember Donovan Mitchell and Jamal Murray were like hanging out, drinking a beer after
game one.
Game one. Yeah, they were like hanging out after they both dropped 50. They were just like hanging out, which is just so funny to even think about. But I mean, you're in the same place. Like, you might as well make friends with people in there. Like, seriously,
So was it Rondo's brother started a fight with Westbrook? Like he was on the sideline?
Yeah, I think it was definitely Rondo's family. I think it was the brother, yeah. And Westbrook was getting pissed. That was also the weirdest basketball lineup of all time, the PJ Tucker center Rockets squad, where
that team was good. The Thunder had that 3-guard lineup with Shea, Schroeder, and Chris Paul.
And they were weirdly really good that year.
They were really good.
That anybody who says Chris Paul is not good, that's my argument. That team making the playoffs and almost beating the Rockets. That team was not very talented. Like, I don't know. There was a lot of good teams until you get to the Eastern Conference, and then it's kind of like, oh, the 2020 Heat.
We've barely talked about the Heat in this. That Butler's Game 5 in the finals was legendary.
That game I was pissed. That game had me mad.
First time the Lakers lost in the Kobe jerseys.
Yeah, seriously. Like Jimmy.
Fun fact, Tim.
He's good for in a series like that. Even when they're outmatched, he's good for at least one game where he just dominates and wins the game, even when they're outmatched.
It led to a legendary meme, So
the gassed when he's tired. Yeah. Like seriously, and then game 6, the Lakers won by like 40.
Yeah, they didn't mess around.
Nah, they were pissed after losing. Yeah. There was was it Markieff Morris who threw that awful pass to AD, I think, under the rim? He just threw it way over his head. When he was open for like a layup to win the game. He just threw it way over his head. Like, I don't know. The bubble was fun to watch.
So there are 2 books about the bubble, guys. So there's one that Jared Dudley wrote. It's called Inside the NBA Bubble.
Oh, I got to read that.
Yeah. And the other one was written by Ben Golliver. So it's called Bubble Ball Inside the NBA's Fight to Save a Season. So I have to check those out. I didn't know those existed.
Yeah, I didn't know there was any bubble talk or anything like that. Bubble books.
All right, so peak bubble moments of all time that I'll never forget. We've talked about quite a few of them. Rondo sitting in the middle of the court as the confetti is all over him. Him and his son. He's got the huge bottle of champagne.
Put it on a poster.
Best picture ever.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember who the first person was that grabbed the trophy when they gave the title to the Lakers?
No.
J.R. Smith.
J.R. Smith.
J.R.
Shirtless J.R. Smith.
Gotta be J.R.
That is when we are older and like this goes like 20 years down the line and people are like, nobody will remember that J.R. Smith played on the Lakers. That is like going to be, those random jersey things they show? That will be somebody nobody remembers.
I have
Deion Waiters.
Deion Waiters, yes. I have so many. So I bought tons of NBA cards that year because that was the Zion Ja rookie year.
Yeah.
And they actually made J.R. Smith Lakers cards.
Seriously?
I have a couple J.R. Smith Lakers cards.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm going to look back on that, like my Penny Hardaway and Miami Heat cards probably. For those like honestly. 9 games he played for the Heat.
You have a couple of those, Tim? Some Penny Hardaway?
Somewhere.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. I do have some Ken Griffey Jr. White Sox cards. Those are really weird.
Did play for the White Sox. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
The end of his career, right? Before he went back to the Mariners.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was about to say. I remember that.
Yeah. Well, I think what we're kind of getting here is the bubble was a lot of fun. We shouldn't discredit it. It saved us all from going crazy. Because, baseball that year definitely hurt from COVID. Was definitely hurting. Football, we still had time. It was weird that Joe Burrow got drafted in his basement, but
never forget.
Yeah,
that.
Joe Burrow got drafted in his basement. So did Baker Mayfield, though, and there was no COVID, and he was drafted in his living room or whatever.
That's true. Yeah, but what a fun time! And the Lakers won the title. That was also the year that Kobe passed. So it was like, God, it was so nice to see successful basketball happen because of everything that happened those 2 months before it shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that season was super exciting before it got
super good.
Like that weekend was the weekend LeBron like dominated the Clippers and the Bucks and they won.
Yep.
And yeah.
Davis misses the game-winning shot against the Nets, their last game.
LeBron would have 5 MVPs if it never got shut down. The way it was trending, I think LeBron would have won the MVP that year. Seriously, I do.
I told you guys. I told you. I don't know if I've told it on a podcast, but I told you guys this story. So I was in Madison Square Garden when the shutdown started happening. I was literally in the garden.
I was so wild.
So like I'm in there, and how like the media works there is where you sit up top, like you're kind of bird's eye down to the arena, down to the court, and everyone has their own TV in their section, so you can kind of go through and flip the channels. It's like, I'll see what's going on in the NBA tonight while I'm waiting because the Xavier was the second game, and it's like Rudy Gobert tests positive for COVID, and at this point, we didn't know what it was. Like we're kind of like, so I just remember being like, well, I don't think we're playing tomorrow.
Yeah, we all thought it was just in like China or wherever it was at first. Like, we didn't know anything about it. We had been hearing about it for like a month,
or in Australia with Tom Hanks.
Yeah. Right. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. And at the time I remember we thought it was like Ebola. Like we thought it was like if you get it, like it's like deadly immediately type. Like we thought it was something like that immediately. Right when it happened too, I remember. Like it was like it's crazy how big of a fear it was when it first happened, and then literally everybody got it at some point.
One way or another.
Everybody.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. And it was like such a like scary thing when it first came out. Like, until we learned more about it and stuff.
Absolutely. Well, I think we can go and wrap this flashback segment. And let's get to our final segment of the day, folks. This is called the Starting Five. So this is going to be our fantasy draft segment. Each and every week, we will each draft 5 people or things or items or whatever the theme is. And then we will have you, our listeners, tell us who won. So I want to go easy this week, guys, because it's our first one. So we get the people who listen kind of get an idea for the segment. And I went 2010 players who made all NBA, not just first team. This is first, second, third. So the talent pool is very deep. Each of us get 5 guys. So how should we do this? Should I random it, Or do you guys want to do something like where one of us gets like we just rotate every week who has the draft order?
We can just rotate. That's fine.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll take third. Just go from your square to Sean to my square at the bottom.
Okay. All right. So, and also let's go ahead and preface this before people get pissed off at us. This is we're taking who these guys were in the 2010s. So if like we take someone over Kobe Bryant, it's because Kobe Bryant was Kobe Bryant for 2 years.
So this is for the whole decade.
Yes.
Okay, because I was seeing like Joe Johnson on here, Steve Nash. I'm like, yeah, they weren't good after like 2011 for Steve Nash. So that's why I was a little
right. So like if we take like Steph Curry over Kobe Bryant, we're justified. We have justified reasons. He won 2 MVPs that decade. So
yeah, it's for the whole decade, of course.
Yeah. All right. Well, if I have first pick, then you set me up perfectly because obviously I'm taking LeBron.
Yeah. That's pretty simple.
That's the only answer.
Right.
Yeah.
So Sean, you're up for 2. You're up now.
I'm gonna go ahead and take Kevin Durant.
Easy.
All right. And
so Parker, you get 2 picks.
I'm gonna go with Steph Curry as my point guard. Are we doing like a lineup like positions?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So Steph Curry will be my point guard. And then honestly, I'm going to go with Giannis. Just the last 5 years of the decade. I mean, Giannis was that good that 5 years of Giannis is better than 10 years of a lot of these guys.
I agree. I mean, David Lee made All-NBA at one point in the 2010s. So
yeah,
yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Hell of a
Sean.
rebounder, that guy.
Yeah. Got to use him on
double.
Got to use him on Immaculate Grid today.
Call me a homer, but I'm gonna go completely outside the box here. I'm gonna go with Joakim Noah.
Oh, I thought you were going Derrick Rose there.
No, I'm going with him because I feel like he was if you're gonna build a team, you got to have someone to do some dirty work, and he's the guy I'm going to take. And I'm actually going to take him over Dwight just because Dwight kind of faded a little bit towards the end there. Not to say that I love Dwight, but I'm just a Joakim fan.
Dwight was better in the 2000s than he was the 2010s.
Yeah.
Because once he went to the Lakers, and what year was that? Like 12. I don't even think he made an all-star team after that. Maybe like 1 or 2 in Houston.
The second year after Derrick Rose was hurt, when they ended up going into the Nate Robinson year that they had, when they ended up having that crazy win over the Nets in the first round of the playoffs, he was, I think, 3rd in MVP voting that year,
and the defensive player of the year. He was weirdly Jokic without the scoring. Like, he was a passer. Like, I remember his passing was like the biggest part of his game at that time.
And you know what ruined his career?
What?
Besides Tibbs? Those French shoes that he wore.
Yep.
Like, he wore those crappy sneakers for years.
Wait, what? I'm going to have to look this up.
Oh, they're rough.
Oh, yeah. So he had signed a deal with a sneaker company over in France because his dad was a famous tennis player. I don't know if they were a tennis brand or what, but
oh God.
And not only that, but from what I understand, they didn't pay him on time and stuff. There was a bunch of problems with him sponsoring them, and he eventually ended up going with Adidas later on in his career. But I think those shoes alone, those were like Stephen Barry shoes. Those were like the Starberries.
Yeah, they were rough.
Those don't even look like a basketball shoe. There looks like there's like no grip or like no boost in those to help you jump. Like, I don't know. Those look awful.
All right, I'm sorry I took up so much time with my Joakim Noah chatter.
I love it. I'm all for Joakim Noah chatter. All right, so I got the next 2. So I'm going to go and do 2 guards.
Go for it.
I'm going to do Westbrook because he was unfreaking believable in stretches in the 2010s. I mean, obviously the MVP year, multiple triple-double seasons. He was awesome. And then I'm going to go with, because Parker took Steph Curry already, I'm going to go with his running mate. I'm going to take Klay Thompson. Game 6 Klay is all I got to say. How good he was in the finals during those Warriors championship years. Hard to pass him up. So I got LeBron, Westbrook, and Klay Thompson so far.
Nice little team.
Okay. I'm gonna go with a guy who was pretty incredible back in the early 2010s for my point guard. I'm gonna go John Wall.
Love it. He was incredible. He was so good.
Gotta have some speed, guys.
That 2017 John Wall year The year he was like the second best player in the East outside of LeBron. He was dominant for a couple years there.
Yeah.
For me, I think I need a wing here. So as painful as this is going to be for me, I'm going to take Kawhi Leonard. I mean, 2 finals MVPs.
Ooh.
When he was on the court, he was the best player on the planet at one point. You can't say that with more than like 3 or 4 guys here were the best player on the planet. So I'm going to go Kawhi Leonard, and then I got another pick, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then let me think real quick. I got Kawhi, I got Curry, and I got Giannis. I'm going to take as my center, I'm going to go with Anthony Davis. I think he made like 4 first-team All-NBAs in the 2010s, 4 or 5. I mean, he's been the best power forward in the league for a long time till Giannis took him over. He was the best power forward in the league for like 5 or 6 years. Like, Anthony Davis is a monster when he's on the floor, and he actually was healthy a majority of the 2010s. It started really when he got to the Lakers is when he's gotten hurt a lot more often. He played, 60-plus games pretty much every year on the Pelicans. So I'm going to go with Anthony Davis.
So, Parker, just so I make sure, I think I missed one of your guys. You had Giannis, Kawhi, AD, and who else?
Curry.
That's right.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Good team.
Yeah, that's stacked. Sean, you're up.
All right. Well, I guess I'm going to have to go. Want to get a guy. Let's just solidify the front court here. I'm going with Draymond.
There you go.
We're doing
DPOY.
it. We're going all defense.
This is Grind City Grizzlies team right here.
I
Sean
know.
said we're going to shoot 20% from 3, but we're going to win 82-81.
Yeah, that's right.
He's playing early 2010s basketball, Sean is.
You said early 2010s?
Yeah.
You said 2010s, and that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking grit and grind.
Yeah, seriously. Because if we're playing in the 2010s era.
I mean, I got KD too, so it's like I got a shooter already. So we got the speed, we got the D, we got KD,
and we're gonna see your team have an implosion on the court. So,
yeah, they're getting in a lot of fights. They're gonna beat Anthony Davis's ass, like Draymond and Joakim Noah. John Wall's a little bit of a hothead sometimes. Like that team, don't mess with that team.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get my big because this guy was also, you can make the case, was probably the best center for a majority of the 2010s. I'm taking Boogie, taking DeMarcus Cousins.
Yeah,
he was
the best center of the 2010s, I'd say.
Yeah, and then let's see, I got LeBron, Westbrook, Clay. So I need one more. I think I'm going Paul George.
I like that's who I was going to take. He took my
Yeah.
I think Paul George is going to round this one out. I really wanted to take Butler, but those 2 years in OKC where Paul George was like an MVP candidate. Man, they were the Melo year was weird, and obviously the Dame walk off is something that people always remember.
And playoff P.
Playoff P. But to recover from that gruesome leg injury and become just as good as you were.
He was better than he was because he was so much more skilled by that time.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And he really, even in his early to mid 30s now, has not lost much athleticism at all. He's still a freak athlete, even in his early to mid 30s now. Like he's still
right.
When he plays, he's still damn good.
Yeah. So to round out my starting 5, I have Russell Westbrook at the point, Klay Thompson at the 2, Paul George at the 3, LeBron at the 4, and Boogie at the 5.
Tim, I forgot to mention something. And I forgot to add in there the no fans 2021 season. He was actually playoff P, leading the Clippers past the Jazz without Kawhi. He was really dominating.
He was awesome.
He was awesome. That might be the best version of Paul George. That braids Paul George in 2021 was a very good player.
All right, Sean, you are on your last spot. Looks like you've got KD, Joakim Noah, John Wall, and Draymond Green. How do you round out your team?
I'm going Dwayne Wade.
Ooh!
I'm going D Wade, guys. I'm going D Wade. I mean, he had a couple good years right there. I know. What year was it? I'm trying to think. One of the years they won the title, he played 49 games in 2011 and 12. But he was still at the top of his game. You know, look at the 2010, 2011 season.
He was the best player on that team.
Yeah, he was
Stretches.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, we're looking at a guy who's, can we say he's a top 5 shooting guard of all time?
Top 3 in my opinion.
You saying top 3? Okay. I was trying to be generous, guys. I was trying to be generous and
top 3. I'd say Harden has an argument over him just because of like if Harden gets a ring at any point, I feel like he surpasses Wade.
But he doesn't have a ring.
He doesn't yet. Nah,
he doesn't.
Nor will he. Especially if he goes to the Clippers.
The stats are just so staggering with Harden. It's just like
I agree. I don't think you're wrong at all. All right, Parker. So you're going into the last round with Steph Curry, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Kawhi Leonard, and AD. You have the team of playing Red Rover.
All right, so for my pick, I think this is a clear pick for my team. We don't really need any more defense because we have Kawhi, Giannis, and AD. So I don't think we need much defense. So I'm going to go with the best scorer of the 2010s. I'm going to go James Harden.
There
36 points per game at some point. I would feel a little disrespectful if nobody took Harden because he was a top 5 player of the decade.
And he won an MVP.
And he won an MVP, 6th man of the year. I mean, what was he like? Made the All-Star team every year from 2011 on or 2012 on. So, I mean, best scorer of the decade in terms of stats and everything. And he was on some really good teams and likely would have a ring if Chris Paul didn't get hurt. But
yeah. So to put in context, we could have easily done 10 here, but we don't want to bore everybody. Here's some of the players that didn't get picked just because of how deep the 2010s were. Kobe Bryant, Derrick Rose, who won an MVP, Chris Paul, Rajon Rondo, who playoff Rondo for the Celtics at the beginning of the decade, and even as we know in New Orleans that year, holy moly, Damian Lillard, Kyrie Irving, who won Game 7 after the LeBron block for the Cavaliers, Isaiah Thomas, who was unbelievable, Carmelo Anthony, Kevin Love, Blake Griffin. Yeah, I said Dame.
Okay.
Carmelo Anthony, Kevin Love, Blake Griffin, Jimmy Butler were not taken. The center was kind of meh, like Jokic, DeRozan, Cat, who we all thought was going to be way better than he is. Life happens. Drummond, who at stretches where he looked like the second best center in the world. Stretches. Amari Stoudemire, Nick Samari was really solid for a couple of years.
Samari, the first year I remember he was really good still.
Embiid and Jokic weren't taken. I mean, Jokic was kind of coming on at the end of the 20.
Yeah. Same with Embiid. Yeah. Embiid didn't debut till 2016, I think. So
2017,
Yeah, they both didn't really play till the end of the 2010s, honestly.
Yeah.
But weird we're 4 seasons removed from the 2010s now. That is so weird to think about.
Yeah. So we'll do this. So if you have the first pick, and we go by Parker's rule where we just rotate, then you pick the 5-round draft.
Ooh.
But days notice of what it is so we can strategize.
Yeah, of course. We could we could always do decades too. I mean, seriously.
Yeah. So I had one, I was putting together a bunch of ideas. I had the ultimate basketball video game draft where we pick everyone picks their top 5 basketball video games, sneaker.
We got to do sneakers. We got to do sneakers.
I had 1990 Chicago Bulls not named Michael Jordan or Scottie Pippen. That's a fun one.
Yeah.
That's a fun one.
Yeah.
So
we could always do stuff like that, like LeBron's teammates or Jordan's teammates draft. That's
gonna happen.
Yeah, we could definitely do something like that.
Let's do it.
One I had was years of LeBron's career. Ooh. So it's one player, and you got to pick your thoughts on his 5 best years that are available.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's
a really good one. I feel like that would also be we wouldn't have the same picks too. I feel like we would have different picks overall and stuff on that.
Especially considering, with the multiple MVPs, someone's getting 2 MVP LeBron when everyone else can get 1 MVP. See, that could be I'm onto something here. So Sean, I guess that would mean I would rotate to last. Parker moves up to second, so Sean will have the first pick. So you pick the theme for next week's draft.
You want me to do it now, or
if you want, or if you want to tell us later, it's your call. It's your call.
All right. So I was already kind of thinking about this, but Greatest slam dunkers.
Oh,
That's a good
Ooh.
draft. I like that.
All
And
right.
I'll put the list together, guys. I'll put a list together.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, hey, we're very excited to be able to do this. Hopefully it catches on. So thank you all for tuning into NBA Friday, part of Riverfront U. Before we do get out of here, I had to make sure you shout out everything going on at the Riverfront. Of course, actually today, as this goes up, you can check out the Riverfront Prime with Nate and Chad as they kind of answer your questions about the Reds off season. Joe and Greg also did Riverfront Bengals today to go out for you guys, or they get you ready for the Seahawks game on Sunday. You can check me out on Sundays on Late Night Reds. You can also check me out here on Riverfront U. This week, Ryan Roberts and I did an introductory show to Riverfront U, what we're going to be talking about with all our local schools and then some. So if you're checking us out on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're checking us out on the Apple Podcast, wherever, please give us a review. On behalf of Sean and Parker, thank you all so much for tuning in to NBA Friday, and we will see you next week.